Welcome to Mom's Dish, Minnesota. I'm Hannah.
And I'm Nicole. Minnesota can be cold 6 months of the year, and the state mascot is the mosquito. But we are full of stories, local entrepreneurs, inspiring individuals, travel destinations, and more.
We believe in the power of personal stories, have a passion for making our communities feel more connected, and highlighting amazing Minnesotans. At the end of each episode, we will also feature a song from a local musician.
All you need to know for women on the go. Hello, and welcome back to another exciting episode of Mom's Dish Minnesota. As always, we are so thankful that you are listening, and we hope that you will love this episode. We speak with Dr. Jesse from Chiro for Moms, and so we'll discuss that a little bit later. But first, we have a couple announcements. The first one being our newsletter. We wanted to get another plug in for our newsletter. It's going to be coming out around the middle of February, and it's going to be jam-packed every month with interesting information. We're going to talk about our upcoming episodes. We're going to talk about episodes that have already been released with the podcast player, so you'll be able to play the episode right from your email. As we start events episodes, we're going to have a list of events released for you before the episode airs, and any promo codes, events that are happening, or exciting deals will all be in the newsletter. So please go to our website, www.momsdishmn.com, to subscribe.
Another exciting announcement is we are starting Follow Along Fridays. So this will be a part of our social media. So you're going to want to make sure you are following our Instagram and Facebook. This will be another awesome way to promote community and connection and personal stories. And we're going to learn a little bit more about our guests and the things that they do. And they are going to take over our social media accounts on Fridays and just share a little bit more information about them. You can ask them questions, and they'll be able to provide a whole bunch more information that you may have wanted to learn during the podcast episode. So make sure and stay tuned for our Follow Along Fridays.
Yes, I'm really excited. If you've been listening and you've just been kind of wondering more about each guest, now's your chance.
Additionally, as we all know, we always end our episodes with a musician, and our musician this time is Bo Weber. Bo Weber is a Minneapolis singer-songwriter. He releases the song, Is It Wrong?, which is a breakup song with lyrics that pull at the heartstrings of those who can relate to the difficulty of letting go of something that you love. Coming off a 2-year hiatus, Bo's last project was an album that was written in memory of his mother, Wendy, who recently passed away from ovarian cancer. Proceeds from the album went directly to Minnesotans who are still battling the disease, which is awesome. So make sure and check Bo Weber out, and we are going to play his song, Is It Wrong?, at the end of our episode.
Like I said earlier, we are speaking with Dr. Jesse from Chiro for Moms. If you've never heard of this chiropractic clinic, you have to listen and check it out. She shares her business journey, why she decided to start this clinic, and just her innovative approach to treating moms and women. This clinic is something really special in Minnesota, and it makes getting treated even easier, especially for moms. And she discusses a lot of benefits of chiropractic work for women and children and pregnant women. And it was really interesting and fun to talk to her. So we hope that you get a lot out of this episode as well.
Yes, I learned a lot of surprising benefits to chiropractic work that I had no idea that would help in so many different circumstances. So you're going to want to stick around and make sure and listen. And now it is Jesse.
Welcome, Jesse. We're so excited to have you on the podcast. I'm a huge proponent of chiropractic care, and it's done wonders for me. And I can't wait to hear more about your business and all the great information you have for listeners. Before we kind of dive into that, just tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bio.
Okay, well, firstly, thank you for having me here. A little bit about myself. Do you want it personal or do you want it business?
A little bit of both. Yeah. Sometimes it's nice for listeners to just kind of get a feel for who you are.
Okay. Well, I am first and foremost I'm a mama, and that is how this whole thing really started. Because I never thought I would head in the direction of specifically treating women and children. Mm-hmm. My background is in sports med related to chiropractic, but I had babies about 10 years ago, and it was right around the time I actually became a chiropractor. And it just absolutely changed kind of the trajectory of everything that I became. I always joke that, well, it's not a joke, but I say that when I had my children, it strengthened me and softened me in the same moment. So I became incredibly passionate about female care, and then I had my own frustrations as well as a young mother with kids or young kids, and I just took a lot of those frustrations and bred Chiro for Moms. And I say that in the sweetest way, without getting into the negative, of course. But I always say that frustration breeds ingenuity, which in my case it did. So yeah, that's my background. I've been a chiropractor for 10 years. I am married to a man that I've known longer than I haven't, which is pretty cool. And we just actually bought a farm, 4 months ago. So that was a bit of an upheaval in the midst of starting a business.
Yeah.
Not a plan that we had in the books, but super grateful nonetheless. So, yeah.
Wow, that's really interesting. I had no idea that you were in sports medicine and now working on a farm in addition to doing chiropractic health for moms. So that's just a lot on one person's plate. When did you decide to start Chiro for Moms, and what was kind of your motivation for starting your own clinic?
Well, how honest do I get? I practiced in a medical arts building in Eden Prairie for a long time, and the schedule and actually the difficulty with finishing notes like through the weekends, because at that time like electronic health records weren't really a thing, and the clinic I was working with wasn't really set up to let me bring my notes home just due to HIPAA compliance and things like that. And at the time we had 2 really young babies, and it just with our schedule it wasn't working. So I actually quit. And I quit full time. And I didn't think I was going back. I had actually entertained the idea of becoming a chemistry professor because I am a chemist. And I was home for 2.5 years full time. And I say that I wasn't going to go back because when I left practice, as much as I loved what I was doing physically with my patients and treating, I was pretty disenfranchised by what was kind of occurring behind the scenes with insurance and just kind of the way a lot of the people in my field had to kind of defend themselves. And I just was kind of tired of it, and even feeling like I had to kind of defend myself. And I can get into that later. But when you become a doctor in my field, you basically have a mortgage in loans, which is a lot. And we gave up a lot financially to have me home for those 2.5 years. And there kind of came a time where we both had to decide, like, what are we going to do for retirement? Where are we headed next? And like I said, I entertained the idea of becoming a professor, but it would have been a lot of nights and weekends again. And at the end of the day, our kids are our priority. And so that kind of would have gone in the face of everything, we'd really worked toward. So we decided to start a clinic instead, which when you start a business, you don't make any money. It was definitely a long-term goal, not a short-term. Well, so here's what happened. We were at a date. We were having a date night together, and we decided that night. And so that following, I think it was like Wednesday, we signed the lease for this space. But I had already been speaking with the woman who owns it for nearly a year, because I think in my head I'd already started dreaming of Chiro for Moms. a journal that I just kind of been keeping notes on. I had all the URLs. I literally owned Chiropractic for Moms, Chiro for Moms. I own a lot of URLs. So I think, subconsciously, I actually was already dreaming of this place. And I wanted so many things for it. I wanted everything to be kid-proof because I was so frustrated when I had young kids. And I'd go into these spaces and I'd feel bad that my kids were like yelling or getting into stuff, or, it'd be filthy in the floor over here, but then they'd be in the trash can over there. And
yes.
And I had a lot of frustrations about that. And then I knew I wanted to be a cash practice. A little bit based on what I was talking about with the insurance previously. I knew that there were just some of these pieces that I really wanted to incorporate. And so a lot of it bred from things that I observed over the last 10 years, or I guess at the time 9. But that's how it really started. I mean, it started with, talking about the financial side and then slowly morphing into how do we do that and just going. Once you sign a lease, there's no turning back. And I think in that, I had this dream and we're still heading in that same direction, but man, we meander, like we go side to side, listening to what patients want and what works and what doesn't. And so as much as I'd love to say we're, staying the exact course that I thought we'd be on, we're not. I mean, it's a beautiful thing. The original dream is still there. Everything about it has absolutely happened. The comfort they have when they walk in here, that's everything I wanted. And that is happening. But the way that we create that every day does change day to day. So that's how it got started.
Yeah, I'm curious to know what sets you apart from other chiropractic businesses. So you mentioned a little bit about the child-proof office. What other ways are you set apart from other chiropractics? Like what makes you unique for women and moms and children?
Well, the biggest thing is just in the name. So we're specializing in really women only at this point. I can't get into it too much, but we will be actually separating children from women in the near future on the business realm. But we're really staying very specific to female care. And I love men. I love my husband. I love even treating men. But, the second you say you can treat everybody, you don't get to become the best at one thing. And I'd say that really sets us apart. I really do actually at this point work with a lot of other medical providers, kind of bridging that medical gap with kind of the granola side. And so we're doing that, which is also a really big thing because I can't say all chiropractors are doing that. I wish they were, if I'm being totally honest. The other thing is that it's all online scheduling, which is huge because a lot of my mamas schedule their appointments at midnight. And I don't want to make it exclusive to mamas, but my women, the women we treat. Let's see. We are pretty transparent about everything. So what people don't see is the social media side and just the communication that's happening behind the scenes. So I'd say that sets us apart. My husband is in advertising, so a big part of our whole philosophy is to keep things really simple so that we can magnify everything that people see so we can really get the message out there.
As far as ease for patients, this is a place where you can bring your children to appointments to just kind of make it easier for scheduling?
Yes.
Okay.
But that's actually it is baby-proofed, kid-proofed, but it's more that the kids want to be here, right? It's not just that it's safe. It's, they don't really even want to leave. And so what that means is mom gets to get treated while the kids play.
Yeah.
And that's huge, the fact that they want to be here and then they give her peace while she's getting treated is huge.
Yeah.
And there are even times where we're treating mom with, a little one sitting on top of her. That does happen. But even when that's happening, there's such a grace about it, right? Like we just roll. Yeah. So
yeah. I think that was one part that was like so interesting and appealing to me because I'm constantly commenting on the fact that like if I want to make any kind of appointment, a doctor appointment, chiropractic appointment, therapy appointment, I'm working it around, my husband's schedule or just different things to try to manage childcare. And so when I saw that was a piece of your business, I said, finally, someone gets it. Like there's a place for moms to go and they can put themselves first because childcare isn't an issue.
Yeah. And I would say that's probably my favorite part of this whole place. And that is the thing that our mamas are absolutely loving, and that they can be here for a little while because we actually spend quite a bit of time with our patients. And it's very nice that they get that time, because so rarely when the kids are little, do you get any time. The kids really, if I'm being honest, they usually last about 25 minutes. But in 25 minutes, man, we can get a lot of stuff done.
Yeah.
It's pretty incredible. So, yeah, it's wonderful.
Do you see any specific types of injuries often with women and moms? Like, what do you usually see as the most common you worked on?
Hip flexors. There's a muscle called your iliopsoas. It's my favorite muscle in the whole world. It starts kind of in your groin and goes up and kind of wraps around and attaches to every lumbar vertebrae. And it is very much a part of your pelvis. And that's everything that your spine sits on, right? But hip flexors get crazy tight, whether you're having babies or not, especially because our pelvises are more mobile than men's pelvises. So with that extra play and kind of just the nature of the way we're built, those get really angry. So hip flexors are definitely a big one. And then, of course, it plays into the low back pain for sure. So as far as like injury, I can't say it's a specific injury in the sense that it's not traumatic, but definitely an issue that I see a lot of.
Yeah. We were just more curious kind of like the demands on like women and moms' bodies, especially if they're like carrying children around or lifting or just moving in certain ways, given their lifestyle, like why they benefit from chiropractic care, I guess.
Well, the biggest piece is just that, if I back up a little bit, the discs, the squishy part in your back, don't have any blood vessels. So when I'm adjusting, basically what I'm doing is creating fluid ambition, fluid movement through the joint spaces. And that's the only way you get nutrients basically in and out. And so the adjusting, especially for moms, who are bending, twisting, and lifting, getting adjusted for them is a big component to keeping those discs full of fluid, more mobile, less sticky. And, flexion is one of the toughest things on our body, especially when you add the twisting. The nature of your back is to be extended. And so when you're flexing forward, you're putting a ton of load on the backside, which is often why you'll get that kind of referral down your back or sciatica or bulged discs. And so with the nature of, carrying baby carriers and picking up kids and pulling kids out of a crib and just doing the things that we do around the house to clean or whatever. And I'm not saying that, it's only women who are doing those things, but with the nature of those movements, the adjusting is huge and inducing that flex or that extension again and getting fluid movement through those joint spaces.
So should women be proactively coming to chiropractor appointments? Like, should they be scheduling one every month, even if they're not necessarily in pain, just to kind of make sure you are in the right alignment on your back? Or do you usually just have you come when you are feeling some sort of pain? Or how often should women be coming?
That is a great question that I hate answering. No, that's not true. I don't hate it. I relate it back to myself. So I get treated every 4 to 6 weeks. We're all really different, but I'd say anything in the realm of 1 to 2 months is awesome because you're checking in with yourself and then you're basically preventing things from happening, right? From getting worse, from becoming a flared up mess. So yeah, I wouldn't say a strict once a month, but I would definitely say in the realm of 1 to 2 and definitely to check in with yourself and know how you feel when you feel good and And when you don't know where to go,
Right. So we should be adding this to our yearly checkup, like our exam, dentist, eye visit. We should also be doing, every other month or so Chiro visits on our calendar as well. And we can bring our kids, so it'll make it a little bit easier.
That's a beautiful way to say it. Yes. Yes.
Are there any things that people can do at home to kind of help their bodies and help with alignment in between visits, or just in general to make sure that we're feeling good?
Oh, so many things. So our website, actually, this is how the clinic has transformed in a way that I didn't anticipate. We are literally making videos every single week based on the questions that our patients ask and the things that they want to be able to do at home. The other day I had somebody ask for a specific routine to strengthen upper body. Now, a lot of this, if it's really technical, I'm sending out to PTs, but we have literally lists on our website of all the different areas of your body, and under each one is, under each category is a set of stretches. The stretches are huge. The things that you can do at home, when you're prepping dinner, or when you're at work, even, a lot of the stretches you can do in your seat or on an exercise ball, or in a doorway. I wish I could show you because I'm super visual, but yes, there are so many things that you can do to prevent pain just in being consistent, but little things that you can add in where, based on whatever your activities of daily living are.
So are these videos on your website or on your social media? Where can we find those if we want to look for tips at home?
I'd say the best categorized way to find them is the website, no question. We're literally updating our website every single day. So that's the perfect place. And if you want to just catch them at random, always social media. So definitely Instagram. And then we play them over typically through IGTV into Facebook. And they're all loaded on YouTube, but we don't specifically, work on our YouTube channel right now. We use it as a way to embed into our website. But I'd say the website's the best place.
That's so cool. I had no idea that resource was available. So people can go check it out and then maybe just incorporate some things really slowly into their kind of daily routine.
Absolutely. And maybe just one thing. When, in my business, especially with the way that we're specializing, I'm dealing with really busy women.
Mm-hmm.
Mothers are not, busy women. And so sometimes it's just as simple as adding one little thing that they can do at the desk, and that's super important. So yeah, right. Absolutely.
What about pregnant women? Do you have a lot of pregnant women that come into your care, and what benefits can they receive from getting chiropractic care during pregnancy?
Yes, many pregnant women, more than I anticipated, which is amazing. The mobility is huge. Oftentimes, into the late part of first trimester and early part of second, your relaxin starts kicking in, so your pelvis gets almost hypermobile, right? And things start getting really wobbly. So depending on which phase of pregnancy you're in, but kind of starting into that early portion of the pregnancy, like chiropractic care can help with so many things, whether it's, pinching on really that sciatic bundle on the back side, or it's around ligament pain, or it's the hip flexor pain that I talked about before, or it's just positional stuff where we're really looking to mobilize or to neutralize the pelvis to keep it even for delivery. The adjustments throughout, they relieve pain, but they also really aid in prepping for delivery and how you heal after. A lot of what we're doing here, we're mobilizing, we're adjusting, but again, in working on the soft tissue, we're working on things like the round ligament, the diaphragm, working on a ligament on the backside called your sacrotuberous ligament, really making sure the pain dissipates so that your pelvis is more neutral come time for delivery and even for the rest of your pregnancy.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I got adjustments throughout both my pregnancies, specifically just to help with low back pain, but also I was really concerned with keeping my pelvis in alignment and just like making sure the baby would have like the best path out, I guess. And I thought it was very beneficial. Kind of along with pregnant women, I'm really curious about how children can benefit from chiropractic care and what reasons do parents bring in children into your office?
The biggest thing I'd say at this point, I mean, because it's babies coming out of the womb, is the torticollis, or just noticeable kind of malposition, misalignment things where the parents can physically see it, right? So torticollis is where your neck is like stuck to one side. So oftentimes kids will come out of the womb with a head that kind of wants to favor one side or the other. And that's typically where you'll get kind of that soft spot where a baby needs a helmet, or, where they're diagnosed with that condition where they need to have a helmet. So working on mobilizing the cervical curve, like the neck, for that is huge, especially coming out of the womb, like I said. Big thing is gas and reflux. So there are things we can teach parents to physically work on within the soft tissue, within that realm, that they can help their kids with at home. So I'd say that's another big one. The ear infections are a huge one. So even if a kid is on antibiotics, you still need to get the fluid out. And so a lot of parents don't physically know how to go inside their mouth and help drain that fluid. It's huge. It's so, so important. So, in addition to the adjusting and mobilizing, getting some of the stuff to move, we're teaching parents how to do some of these things at home, so they can, help their kids. I'd say those are some pretty big ones.
Yeah, that's really interesting because my son suffers from ear infections all the time. So I didn't even think of chiropractic care as a way to help with that. Like, it wasn't even on my radar. So that's really interesting to think about. And I saw also on your website that you help with breastfeeding issues. So I'm curious on how that works, like what you do that benefits breastfeeding.
Well, a lot of times it has a lot to do with the latch and kind of the way the jaw is opening and closing. So it's a lot of kind of mobilizing within the jaw space. There are techniques out there called craniosacral. That's a big one for kiddos that are struggling with some of that. I'm not certified. I've worked with a lot of practitioners who have done it. But that's another great avenue that I don't specifically do in here yet. But that's another piece with the breastfeeding. But as far as the actual latching, I'd say it's jaw, like physically going inside their mouth and really working on the jaw space. In fact, it's almost similar, oddly enough, to what we do with adults with their jaw, like really working on relaxing that tissue so that, the jaw space can open more easily and that latching becomes a lot easier for the little ones.
Very cool. I just feel like there's so many health issues and body issues that chiropractors treat that people don't even know about. Like Hannah just said, oh, it wasn't even on my radar to bring my son into the chiropractor for ear infections. What other things should people be thinking about? Reasons why they can come in to get help for certain things?
In my practice, in my clinic specifically, I'd say it's truly just the activities of daily living. I don't do nutrition in here. I refer out for that very specifically. Functional medicine, PT, OT, I'm referring out for all of it. So I keep it really specific. I can't say to pain necessarily, but definitely to limitations within your activities of daily living. So just looking out for things that limit you. And I'd say mostly physically. Now, that's not always true. Sometimes like a headache, people don't always think of that as quite so physical. But, I treat headache pain all the time. And that can be pretty debilitating for people, Yeah, I feel like that's what they should be looking for, is how it's affecting your daily.
Yeah. You kind of touched on this a little bit, but I kind of want to talk more about the business side now. And you mentioned communication. And so talk to us a little bit about how you see the importance of communication between patients and doctors and doctor to doctor, and how kind of social media and other social avenues have been changing the way that you practice and serve your patients.
Well, it's actually kind of amazing the way that all the platforms have contributed to to the communication. So we are on basically all of them, including Pinterest, which is bizarre. But, the questions that we get asked behind the scenes when it's, a picture pops up and it prompts somebody to think about something that's affecting them. Again, it might be elbow pain that they're dealing with from carrying their, baby carrier around all day. They're going to ask quickly on social media, and get an answer. And then they're going to, they'll get their answer quickly, and they'll know to make an appointment because that's going to help with whatever said issue is, right? And then over on the other end, behind the scenes within the office, a patient comes in and they're seeing a specific OB for something, or a midwife over on the other side, and they want their whole team to kind of know what's going on. And it's so fast getting the information out to these other practitioners. And it just creates such a dialogue between patient and caregiver. And then on top of it makes it so that we're all on the same page. And it's just been extraordinary with what we've seen kind of behind the scenes, as far as the communication.
Yeah. Do your patients specifically have access to you after hours?
They do, but it's very rare that anybody contacts me, and I think it has a lot to do with the platforms. So typically if they have a question, they're hopping onto Instagram or Facebook, or they're sending an email. It is very, very rare for me to get a phone call.
Yeah.
I mean, to the point where I would say 10 years ago when I started, when none of this existed, I would get phone calls. And so almost less obtrusive than it used to be, which sounds goofy, but that's just the reality.
Right. Everyone's, looking for recommendations on social media or seeing if anyone else has had the same problem and what they do. And so it's just the information just flies a lot quicker. I know I had met your one of your associates at a mini mama meetup. I think that's actually where I heard about you, your business. Yeah. And she had told me that she was like in charge of the Pinterest aspect of your business and how that's just been really huge for Chiro for Moms. And I just thought that was so fascinating because I would never connect chiropractic work with Pinterest, but really in all ways, I could see having a board on Pinterest, with health and resources and strength and, muscles and all that. And so I can see how everything's just kind of connected, and just it's a different way of business these days. Can you talk a little bit about your goals for your business, what you hope to kind of see next? I know you talked a little bit, can't really share too much about splitting off between children and moms, but any other goals that you can share with us that you hope to achieve in the near future?
Oh, absolutely. We always have many, many goals around here. We have a new team member actually starting in a week for PR, which is huge. For us, that's a very big deal. So that's going to be really fun. And my goal is just not to sabotage it. Like every time we hire a new employee, I just work my tail off to make sure that they're getting what they need. In fact, with this next team member, we're having a meeting, almost like a retreat, because actually that lovely team member that you met is very pregnant. And so we're going to be celebrating her a little bit, and then also having a bit of a team meeting. And I want to have everybody take the Enneagram. And that's actually a very big goal of mine, because I feel like, I couldn't do any of this without my team. And they all have incredible strengths, but they're all really different and very strong-willed women. I tend to hire strong-willed women. And I think it's really important for all of us to understand each other's strengths. So that's actually a humongous, humongous goal of mine, because I would love for them to stay on board. So that's honestly my biggest goal, if I'm being, totally transparent.
I know I love this business model of yours that you are supporting women, both with your chiropractic work, but also with your teammates. And you just, because usually all women working together is, maybe not be all women, but mostly women working together is pretty unique, and to work together successfully. So that's really amazing that you're able to do that and support women and moms in that way. I did have a question. I know, so you said that we can bring, your children to the office and things like that, but I'm wondering what your hours are, because I know that can be a difficult thing for me is to find appointments that work around my work schedule. But I know you have your own family and obligations as well. So I'm just curious what your hours are at Chiro for Moms.
Well, actually, we just extended the hours, and we're prepping to bring on another doctor. So hopefully they will expand even more. But right now, I'm in the office 6 days a week, treating 40 hours. The demand got high, and we kind of had to, because some of my days are shorter with pickup and drop off of the kids. So having the 6 days, so I'm here Monday through Saturday, which is awesome, again, for working mamas on Saturdays. And then I do late nights, Mondays and Wednesdays. So I'm here till 7. So 6 days a week.
Wow. That's a lot. That's quite the schedule.
Yeah.
And I also had one other question. So I have only been recently to the chiropractor a few times. I went, about a year ago, and I threw my back out, and that was my first time going because I couldn't move. And I had always been really scared to go to the chiropractor. It always just kind of made me nervous, thinking they're like jerking me around, I guess. And it always scared me. And I think a lot of people maybe have that same fear. So what could you tell somebody who's never been to a chiropractor before about a little bit about what they can expect and just kind of put their mind at ease?
Well, the thing I always remind my patients of is that you move your joints more on your drive to the chiropractor, right? Our bodies are meant to move. But what I say with that is, like, when you look over your shoulder, right? When you're at an intersection or something like that, you're literally putting more motion, more rotation in your neck than I ever do when you're in my office. And our bodies, like I said, are meant to move. So typically the chiropractor is just moving some of those sticky spots, but it doesn't take a lot of movement to move joints, to move everything in your body. And it's meant to move. So we're not really doing anything that your body doesn't want to have done.
Right. That makes sense. That does help. It does help ease my mind and probably others as well. So thank you.
You're welcome.
When you get an adjustment and you hear a lot of cracking and clicking, which I think also can make people nervous, what is that?
It's just air escaping. So remember when I talked about the fluid ambition?
Mm-hmm.
Nutrients moving back and forth. So there's air kind of within that capsule, within that joint space. And so when you move it quickly like that, you get the pockets of air moving out. So That's what it is. That's what it is.
Okay. And that should not make anyone nervous. It's just air.
No. But I say, even when it does, like, talk through it, I don't think it's irrational to be scared, and I think sometimes the idea that you're just going to push through it and you just tell yourself it'll be fine, that isn't always the case. And so kind of embrace that it's a little scary and move through it slowly. Chiropractic adjustments don't have to be crazy big and crazy fast. Like, they can be slower moving. And so it doesn't always have to be a big thing, and you can talk through it.
Yeah. No, that's good to know, because I'm sure people sometimes don't feel comfortable approaching their doctor, and they might feel apprehensive about sharing fears. So
right. And usually, like, just from my experience, I've kind of gone where it's a really quick appointment and they're kind of pushing you in and out really fast. Like, I feel like they just kind of adjust you a little bit and then, okay, now go on your way. So I feel like I just didn't have the time to ask questions or talk about those fears and things like that. So it's nice that you have that at your clinic.
Well, thank you. And, that's one of the things we pride ourselves on. When I first talk to a patient, it's that you have to talk to me as we go. I will say, this is high, this is low, this is tight, this is loose. But you have to be telling me if you feel anything. Most of the time I can't see a patient's face. And so literally the whole time I'm asking, how about this? How about this? What are you feeling here? It's important to ask the patient too, what they're feeling. And sometimes, most of the time that's on the doctor. Because patients aren't going to always know to ask or to address their discomforts. So.
Right, exactly. What has surprised you about being an entrepreneur? And do you have any wisdom for someone that might be going down this path of opening up their own business?
Oh, so many things. I think how lonely it is. And I mean that in the sweetest way. I'm not even technically an extrovert. I recharge by myself. But the path is lonely only in the sense that as you're going, there just isn't really anybody to talk to about the specifics, whether it's learning QuickBooks and how awful it is and the late nights, up trying to figure out how you're going to get this thing up on your website and, who you're going to approach next to talk about what it is that you're doing and how to figure this Instagram thing out because you have no idea how it operates. And it's just kind of a lonely road. I think it's probably my favorite part of having team members, because there are so many things now that we can share and frustrations that they see now that, I've kind of been dealing with for a while. And so I think that did surprise me how truly, lonely it can be. And I think in a great way, it shapes, the way we become stronger business owners. I think there's a beauty to it too. I mean it, like just kind of pushing your way through it. But it's harder than I thought it would be.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you're starting up a business that because you see a need that's out there that doesn't exist yet. So you can't ask somebody who is an expert on that existing business because there's just not there. So you're kind of creating it on your own. So. Yeah.
Yes. Yes, that. Yeah.
Did you start off with just yourself and one other person, or how has your team grown?
Oh, very unexpectedly, actually. No, I started by myself with my husband, but me. And very early on, I actually had to find a way to bring on an employee because it was seriously too much with the amount of communication that was necessary. So I think it was 6 months in that I hired my first employee. And it was terrifying because, at that point I wasn't really making money. Nobody is at 6 months. And yet I had this need that was never part of my business plan. So it was terrifying. But I hired my best friend, Stephanie, who now manages and basically acts like my boss, which is great. And then we hired another woman that spring. And now we're going to be hiring our next employee, at about 1.5 years. And then we have an intern as well right now, which is also quite a process. So, that was kind of the path. Just kind of as the needs increase, we just try to weigh the pros and cons and make it work.
Right. And if somebody wants to make an appointment with you, is there a wait list to do so? Or can you have like walk-ins or like during the day, just make like a quick appointment? Or how quickly can people get in if they need care?
It's a great question. So on the shorter days, they tend to book up. The long day, I'm here basically from 10 a.m. till 7 p.m. So there's a big window on those Mondays and Wednesdays. But typically, I'd say every day coming in, we have between 1 and 3 kind of appointment slots available. And on the days that book out, I just tell people on social ahead of time. And so we're really good about that. We do that every single night, showing what the availability is for the next day because they can make a same day appointment. We don't do walk-ins though.
Okay.
But they definitely be, out and about and realize that they need to get in and check the portal, and they can certainly get in if there's availability, within the hour. No question.
Oh, wonderful. And what is the website for people to use to make appointments?
Chiroformoms.com.
Oh, well, that's easy to remember. Perfect.
And where can we find you on social media?
Instagram is at Chiro_for_moms. Facebook is at Chiro for Moms Clinic. Pinterest is just Chiro for Moms. The email that's best is team@chiroformoms.com.
And we'll have all this in our show notes too for people to reach out to you.
Awesome.
Is there anything else that you would like to share with listeners about chiropractic care or about your business that we didn't ask you about?
Use us. We've become a bit of a portal, I think, with the way that we're specializing and what we're doing very specifically for women. We are surrounded by some pretty incredible professionals doing a lot of amazing things for women. And we just do a lot of referring out and a lot of communicating. So if anybody has a question outside of the realm of chiropractic, to be sure to ask in addition to the chiropractic. It's become a bit of a community. So I guess that would be the last thing, is just use us.
What types of partners do you have that you refer out to, I mean?
Many. So really the OBs, midwives, doulas, both postpartum and birthing, PTs, OTs. Sometimes it's counseling. We have some great online counseling options for women. Functional medicine is a big one, checking hormones. What am I thinking? Even dermatology. I've brought up some of my own issues with skin stuff because my hormones changed after I had my kids, and I have a great dermatologist that women will ask me for. Not kidding. Photography. I mean, because we're in the realm of women only. So people ask us all sorts of questions. Where to get printing done? Because we do a lot of apparel branding. Not kidding. Like, this is real. So
yeah,
anything. It can literally be anything. If it helps you, you know.
Yeah, you're like the go-to for all the things. And now you'll have a podcast if people are looking for recommendations. You'd be able to provide that. So you're going to have all the information. This was just wonderful speaking with you. I honestly didn't know much about chiropractor before this interview started, and I learned a ton. And I just love everything that your business has and how it's just focused on women, because we're all about that here at Mom's Dish MN. So I just love that. And thank you so much for speaking with us today.
Oh, I'm so grateful. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
We are so glad you joined us for Mom's Dish Minnesota. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook at Mom's Dish MN. Visit our website at momsdishmn.com for show notes and to subscribe to our email list.
If you wish to have a song featured on our podcast, please contact us. Love this episode of Mom's Dish MN? Head over to iTunes to subscribe, rate, and leave us a review. Join us next time and enjoy the music.
I just found out that I love someone. Oh, what have I done? I'm missing you. Is it right that I called you up on a Saturday night? Now, is it wrong to say this is your song? I don't wanna let feelings go. I try not to let it show. Is it wrong when I'm all alone? All I think about is you. See, oh, is it too late? Is it too late, baby? Is someone else giving you everything you need? Is it too late? Is it too late for you and me? Is it right that I called you up on a Saturday night? Now, is it wrong to say this is your song? I don't wanna let feelings go. I try not to let it show. Is it wrong when I'm all alone? All I think about is you. I don't wanna let feelings go. I try not to let it show. Is it wrong when I'm all alone? All I think about is you. tell me, am I thinking too much? Or am I sinking 'cause you fell out of love? Can you tell me, am I thinking too much? Or am I sinking 'cause you fell out of love? Found out that I love someone. Oh, what have I done? I'm missing